Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are absolutely overwhelmed with the response to today's webinar, and we're excited to be here. Um, this is a little webinar series that Tomahawk has put together. So it's the Tomahawk Tourism Tech Talks. And we decided to put this together because we were getting so many questions from customers lately, and the digital landscape is changing. And we went, I wonder if people are bored of webinars, and we put it out there. And this is proof that you're not, and you are really keen to learn. So we're excited to get started. We've got a lot to get through. So we're going to kick off with our social media talk today. It's obviously a very popular one because we've already got 14 questions before we even started. So Jamie, pressure's on for you to share lots of great stuff with everybody. So let's get started.
All right.
So what I'm going to do, you guys, is start off by introducing you to today's subject expert and meet Jamie Beck. So Jamie Beck is a digital performance specialist here at Tomahawk. She's been a T-Hawk coming up to 2 years. And we were so great when we were able to snatch her up and join the team. She's had lots of tourism industry experience. So she used to be with Batch Care. She was with Online Republic, the Wakino Hotel. So Jamie, welcome to your webinar today, which is all about you and your subject that you're an expert on.
Hello, I'm very excited.
So let's kick off. Let's share with them what our agenda is and the reason why this is our agenda. So all of our tourism tech talks, which there's one every single month going forward for the next 4 months, every single one has this same agenda. And what this agenda does is it allows us to share a variety of subjects, and it ensures that whether you're new to digital marketing or if you're an expert, that there'll be something for all of you. So we are going to go over something new with social. We're going to go over something reliable, something underrated, something DIY, and something trending. And that's what Jamie's going to share with us. At the very end, we're going to try and sneak in as many questions as possible. All right, Jamie, you ready to kick it off?
Absolutely.
Let's
So
do
we're
it.
starting off today with something new. And of course, everyone at the moment is talking about the AI revolution, which is very exciting and definitely something we're keeping an eye on. And so we'll be talking about how you can use AI to create social media calendars and to help you with your copywriting.
Yeah.
So copy generators like ChatGPT can help you plan and create your content. They can help you with content bucket ideas, which is the different types of content that you post. They can help you create content calendars, and they can help you with captions and video scripts as well.
So the one that we
And
use the most right now, that people are using most, is the ChatGPT, isn't it, Jamie?
yeah, that's a really common one. It's probably the easiest one to use and the one that's had the most publicity.
Yeah, exactly. And so when somebody comes to us and asks you questions about using ChatGPT for social and for these different types of activities in social, what's the advice that you give them?
My advice is always that ChatGPT is a tool, but it's not a replacement. So absolutely use it as a tool, use it to help you speed up your processes. It's amazing, especially for smaller businesses who don't have an agency or don't have an in-house marketer, but it doesn't replace thought leadership or creativity or originality. At the end of the day, you know your clients best, you know your guests best, and ChatGPT can't replace that, but you can use it to help you.
Mm, yeah. So you kind of are talking about that last line that you have up there, to always check it for accuracy and brand voice. Yeah.
Absolutely. So some of you may know that ChatGPT was only fed information up to a certain point. You can feed it new information, but it does do this cheeky thing that is called hallucinating. So AI can hallucinate, in which it will make up information that isn't true or misinterpret information that it's been fed. So we always just have to be really, really careful if you're using it to write content, that what it's spitting out is accurate and it's accurate to your business, and that it is in your brand voice, because you want it to sound like it's you. You don't want it to sound like you used AI to write something. So always double check it, always tweak it a little bit and make sure that it is accurate and relevant.
So let me ask you two things about those 2 points, the accuracy and the brand voice. I'm actually going to share something really funny about ChatGPT for accuracy that we just came up with the other day. We were at the B&B Association conference, and we were introducing ChatGPT to the conference goers. And when one of the delegates was first trying ChatGPT and was talking about their accommodation on Waiheke, and they asked ChatGPT to write a winter post for their Waiheke property, ChatGPT talked about the snow glistening on on the rooftops.
Yes, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you talk about the brand voice and how ChatGPT keeps learning, what kind of advice would you give so that somebody who wants to use ChatGPT for the first time to help create a content calendar or a social media post, what's your advice on how they can teach ChatGPT about their brand voice?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So when you're working with ChatGPT, you kind of want to think of it as just like you're briefing a copywriter. So you want to give it as much information as you can about both your business and your brand voice. So you could say something like, "Hey ChatGPT," because I like to be polite when I'm talking to AI. Can you please write me a content plan or give me some content ideas for an Airbnb or a bed and breakfast on Waiheke Island, which is in New Zealand. This is the kind of business we are. This is how many rooms we have. This is the audience that we target. Our brand voice is friendly and approachable and knowledgeable. And ChatGPT will take that and give you some answers. If they're not quite what you're looking for, it hasn't quite hit the mark, you can rephrase that and ask it again, and it will generate you some new answers. And you've always got to put a common sense filter on it, because it gets a bit enthusiastic sometimes. So I was using this as an example when we were first starting to use this and researching what it could and couldn't do and what it might be useful for, where I asked it to write some content using Kiwi colloquialisms, Kiwi slang, and it went completely overboard. And it was absolutely hilarious, but nothing that we would ever be able to use or that I would ever recommend anyone else use. So sometimes you feed it something and it just really focuses in on one thing. So you have to take it with a grain of salt and be able to dial that back and go, okay, maybe we'll use some of this, but then we're going to change it so it's not quite so over the top.
Yeah. So when you and I were chatting about ChatGPT, just prior to this webinar, you were talking about that it doesn't replace humans. It's just really for helping speed up the process, right?
Yep.
Expedite the job. And I think you've got a little example to share with us.
I
So
absolutely
anybody
do.
that hasn't used it before can appreciate how quickly it works and what it can do for you.
Yeah. So I've got one here. It should load in just a second. So this is what ChatGPT looks like. I'm just going to turn the sound off on this. And what happens is that you can type in whatever you want to ask it. So I asked it to create some social media content topics for a New Zealand-based accommodation business. And as you can see, it's really fast. And it's spitting out all of these great ideas for content that you could create for your business, so that you can go through and go, yeah, actually, I could do this and I could do that. And it gives you a lot of sort of base to work from, which is great.
So for example, what you could do with that is take one of those ideas and ask ChatGPT to extend further talking about this. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if we did that again, for those of you who haven't, you can see it has a little regenerate on the bottom. And
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be interesting to for everybody in the chat. Can we just get a show of how many people, if you can just say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, how many of you have already given ChatGPT a go? And let's check out how many tourism operators are already using it. Yeah?
Yeah. And one thing is that once you've had it create some content topics for you like this, if you're happy with these topics and you're happy to use this as a base, you can then ask it in the same conversation, hey, that's awesome. Can you please create a content calendar for 3 months using these topics?
Yeah.
And it will spit out some dates and how it thinks things should be laid out. Once again, use your common sense, check it over, make sure it works for you and that you're actually going to be able to deliver that content.
Yeah.
But it does save you a lot of time if you're not someone who works in social media calendars a lot. It's a lot faster than you trying to figure it all out yourself.
Exactly, exactly. Really interesting. It's about 50-50, Jamie, those who have and those who haven't.
Oh,
Just also understand, you guys, it's free. It's artificial intelligence. The more you use it, the more it learns. Just don't depend on it because, Jamie, I think you're going to agree with what I'm going to say next. It's really obvious those people who are using it and are not properly tweaking it to be a human, right?
yeah, it's really obvious, especially if you're a digital native. Our younger audiences, especially, they can pick up within
Yeah,
seconds if
yeah,
something wasn't written by a person or
yeah,
at least tweaked by a person. They're
yeah.
so aware and so used to reading the difference between something that was written by a human being and something that was generated that it's really obvious. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind if you are going to use it. Make sure you put your own spin on whatever it spits out. It's more of a base than a Bible.
Yeah, exactly. Well, fantastic. It's a little bit new. It was released, ChatGPT itself was released last November, so it's semi-new. So let's get on to our next subject then.
Okay,
Something
our next subject,
reliable.
something reliable, is community management. I cannot stress this enough.
Yeah.
So, community management is how we harness the relationship building power of social media. The whole purpose of social media is to build trust and familiarity and a connection with your audience, and interacting with them is how you do that. So I see a lot of content on social media itself and in my inbox, really pushing how to bulk create content or find the latest TikTok trends. But I don't see enough that focuses on the importance of the community management that happens after you make those posts.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's social, right? It's supposed to be a two-way conversation. And
Exactly.
if businesses are only concentrating about talking at their customers and not engaging in conversation, um, you lose that opportunity. You lose being able to turn people into ambassadors, into customers. So I love that this is what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, no one likes being talked at. um,
Exactly.
So the way that I like to explain it to our clients is that think of your social content as a conversation starter. So the post you put out is your hello, your introduction, and then your community management, which is your replying to comments and engaging with your followers' content and resharing user-generated content. That's the conversation itself. That's the really important part. And so the post that you make in the first place is important because that's what's going to trigger that interaction.
Yeah.
And the way that social media algorithms work, which is how the platforms decide what they're going to show people, is by engagement. So the more engagement your post gets, the more relevant the platform's going to think it is, and the more it's going to show it to people who might become potential clients.
Yeah. And anybody that's seen a webinar by Renee will know when she's talking about social media, she always talks about the dinner party. And that is when you go to a dinner party, and if somebody is only talking about themselves and not asking about you, you find an excuse to to leave that conversation to go, oh, I need to go to the bathroom or I need something to drink. So,
Absolutely.
so you can't always talk about yourself. You've got to make it back and forth. So reliable. I love that you chose this for reliable because social media is a two-way conversation. And your example that you chose.
So one of my favorite tourism social media accounts is the National Park Service. They do a fantastic job. They know their audience. They have a super strong and defined brand voice. They know who they are, and they deliver really educational content, but in a funny and relatable way that gets people engaged. So they're not just delivering dry information, which no one is really that interested in.
Yeah.
And a really good example of how simple community management can be is their replies. So they posted this, which is, one day you'll find someone obsessed with you. It's probably going to be a squirrel. Very cute, very relevant because they have a lot of squirrels. And someone commented, we weren't trying to feed them in Yosemite, but a squirrel took a piece of licorice out of our hands. We were surprised, to say the least. And National Park Service replied, what flavor? So easy, so simple. But as you can see, the comments in reply to that just kept rolling on and on. There was so many replies on this post, and they had little snappy one-liners like that for all of them. It wouldn't have taken long for them to write it. It's in their brand voice. It's cute. It's funny. And yeah, this had an insane number of replies for what is really a very basic meme.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
exactly.
Highly recommend you go on and have a look not only at their content that they post and the way that they write their captions, but the amount of interaction they get and those little things they put in just to keep that conversation going.
Yeah, exactly. It's two words, right?
2 words.
What flavor?
And then you
They
have
got
people talking about
93
strawberry
likes.
Twizzlers.
Yeah, they got 93 likes just for their response, right? And then look at this. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So they're a great one to have a look at, just for examples that you don't have to do a ton. You could do this really quite quickly. You don't have to spend a huge amount of time on it. But people love to be acknowledged. It's a big ego boost. They feel connected. It's creating that relationship and that trust between them and the brand.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jamie. Okay. Something underrated. And Brussels sprouts are one of the things that's underrated, but that's not social media. That's not social media. What is?
Okay, so something that is underrated is closed captions. So these can be the captions that show up at the bottom of video that are just the text of what the person in the video is saying, or they're also being used a lot on their own now. So you'll see a video that has just music over the top. It has no talking, but it will have captions. And there's a few reasons why we should be using these and why they're gaining popularity. And an estimated 85% of social media videos are watched with the sound off, especially when people are in public. And videos with captions are around 80% more likely to be watched to the end, which is key. That metric of someone watching something all the way through is really important. So there's 3 reasons that we're expecting captions on videos to gain even more popularity and become just standard best practice. The first one is accessibility. So those captions aren't just there so you can watch videos at your desk without anyone knowing. They're actually there because a lot of people have hearing impairments and they need those to understand what your video is about, because no one's going to watch a video of someone talking if they can't understand it. And they're also not going to watch a video that's, say, a walkthrough if they're missing all of the important information because you don't have captions on there. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that captions keep people watching. If they know that there's more information coming, they're going to keep watching to see what it is. And you'll also get people who will rewatch that video a couple of times if they haven't quite kept up with the captions. So if there was more information on the video than they could read at the speed, because often, we keep our videos very short and very quick, people will rewatch. And the more rewatches you get, the more engagement you get, and the more that your content's going to be shown to someone. And the third one is one that I think a lot of people don't realize it's not hugely publicized, and that is that adding captions to your videos increases your keyword density. So that's how often the search terms that people are looking for show up. It improves your keyword diversity, so how many different kinds of keywords you're featuring, and it improves your search engine optimization, so it makes your content easier to find. It's basically giving search engines more information so that when someone searches for your B&B on Waiheke and you've got a video that has that in the captions and talks about that, you're more likely to show up.
That's awesome. That's a really, really key point. You know, I'm going to ask a question right now of you, Jamie, about captions.
Absolutely.
And I want to just take this opportunity to say, just remind everybody, please add any questions in the chat. We've got a bunch that were already sent prior that we're going to try and answer at the end. But at any time, please go ahead and put some questions in the chat. So you've just told us how important it is to add captions. If I'm a small business owner and I've just done a video on my phone and I want to just post it, and I get this little buzzing, annoying mosquito around my head going, oh, Jamie in that webinar said I have to add captions, but I don't know how. I'm putting you on the spot. Is there an easy way? Is there a tool? How can captions be added easily?
You can actually do it in platform 90% of the time. So most platforms now, they know that these captions are really important. They want you to use them. So on Instagram and on TikTok, they have an auto caption generator. So you just upload your video. Depending on which platform you're in, it's normally under settings, or there's actually a captions option when you're uploading. So when you're putting your normal text in and setting your location tags and things like that, you can select captions. It will show you, it will give you a preview of what your captions are. On Instagram especially, you can edit those. So sometimes, especially with a beautiful Kiwi accent, Instagram doesn't quite understand what we're saying. And sometimes we do have to make a few little tweaks just so it knows that we've got it right. So you can do that, and then those captions will automatically show up on your video.
Fantastic. And just like that, we had 3 questions
come through. I'm going to answer. Which is it better to do it in platform? I would recommend that yes, you do it in platform for 2 reasons. One is that if you do it in platform, you know they're going to show up in the right place on your video for how the viewer is seeing it. So they're not going to be covered by your text overlay at the bottom or your interaction buttons or anything like that. And the second thing is that platforms are a little bit sneaky. They want you to use their tools. They want you to create things in their platform. And so they will always prefer things that you've made. And we do see that those things get more interaction if you've edited them in the platform, whether that's adding music, adding captions, adding effects. Platforms want you to use their tools.
Great. Well, you guys, we just got so many other really great questions. Love it. We're going to circle back to these at the end. So good on you for answering that one quickly, Jamie. And I think, again, you've got an example for us.
Yes. So hopefully this will load in just a second. Here we go. So I've got 2 here. The first one is from Gorgeous Escapes, which is a couple of New Zealanders who go around all these different places and have beautiful holidays and let people know what they thought.
A little bit of a loading issue, but hopefully everybody kind of gets the gist of it.
Oh no, it was playing on my one. I hope it was playing for everyone else. So that very simple video, if it wasn't working for you, basically it's just some text captions that come up over a walkthrough of an accommodation vendor. And that gained 86,000 views, 4,887 heart reacts, and 829 saves in just under 2 months. So that is a lot of eyes on one place, just from one video with music over the top with some text.
Cool.
So it doesn't
Thank you
have to
very
be
much.
complicated.
Somebody just said it did show, but it was somebody did just very kindly write and say it showed, but it was a little bit jumpy. Let's see if we have better
Okay.
luck with the second one.
We can always send the links out in the wrap up.
Exactly.
So this one is from Ryanair. Ryanair are based out of Dublin. They're an airline that focuses on a younger audience with cheap flights, most of the time to locations that people want to go for kind of party holidays. So that one, it had just one caption, one piece of text. Oh, I've lost my full screen. There we go. And really, really simple. It stuck with a trending audio, which I wouldn't recommend all of the time, but for this particular brand, because they are targeting a really young audience, it works really well for them. And that video had, I think, 11,000 views, and it would have taken absolutely no time to put together.
Cool. All right. And like normal, I talk too much and I'm slowing us down, and we got to keep moving. We're on to something DIY. So this subject is something that everybody watching will be able to do easily for their business.
So something DIY that you can do is use user-generated content. We shorten that to UGC. So if you've ever seen that when you're doing your online research or any training, that means user-generated content, which is content that your guests or your clients make for you, which is great. Now, this is really, really vital because 80% of consumers say that user-generated content highly impacts their purchasing decisions. Every piece of positive user-generated content is like a review for your business or an ad that you did not have to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
We love that. And so we all want this. It can be quite hard to get, but it's important to remember that we can actually just ask for it. And some ways that you can ask for user-generated content is by rewarding your guests for checking in or sharing a location tagged story or a post on social media. So that's your Facebook check-ins, your Instagram stories with your location tags. And that can be as simple as giving them a cookie or a drink or a little discount on something. It doesn't have to be something massive, but it's something that's easy to do. So if people are going to get something back, they will actually do it, which is great. The other thing you can do is mention it on your on-site signage or in your interactions with guests. You can have a sign with a QR code that says, follow us on social media and share your photos. Would love to see them. You can offer to take photos for people. You can have a beautiful backdrop that just calls out for people to have photos in front of it, and they will share those photos of their holiday and you'll get tagged, and then you can use that content. A really easy way to get more user-generated content is to run a promotion. So I'll talk about this on our example, but you can do a little giveaway or you can do a monthly prize for someone who shares their content with you. And that really increases your brand awareness because the more people are posting about you, the more chatter there is, the more new people are going to find out about your business. And make it easy, make it obvious. You don't want people to be searching for you on social platforms and not be able to find you. So make sure that your branding is the same if you can. Your handles are the same across platforms. Include a call for user-generated content in your follow-up emails, your post-experience surveys. Include your handles, include any hashtags you want people to use, and give them all that information so they can do it really easily.
These all sound so obvious, but the funny thing is so many businesses don't do it.
Absolutely.
I'm currently in the US, and it's encouraged so many places here, and it's quite normal, right? It's just very common to have a little sign that says, don't forget to check in on your social, and it has their 2 social tags there. So yeah, we just got to get a little bit better about it.
We just have to make it easy. Like personally,
Yeah.
I've been places where I've had a great time and I want to share my experience and I haven't been able to find their account.
Yeah.
And even just having that, so you know what you're looking for, makes it so much easier for people. I've noticed a lot of places have started putting it on their menus,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
wherever they have their Wi-Fi password as well is really a great spot for it.
Nice.
And then the key thing is once you've been tagged in the generated content, share it. Share it, tag the person who sent it, put it on your stories, put it on your feed. Anything that boosts their ego is going to make them share more. And so just make sure you're engaging with it, comment on it, thank them for it, and repost them.
And that kind of goes back a little bit to the same kind of community engagement, good feeling, right? So
Absolutely.
if when you acknowledge somebody's comment, it's like, oh, they recognized me. And then when you reshare, one of the things that we also talk a lot about in tourism is that 90% of tourism is booked by women, and 90% of holiday photos are taken by women. You will get men that are photography buffs, but most of the time, holiday photos are taken by women. So we often encourage people to say, offer to take a photo for the woman to be in it, because most of the time she's not in it, or she's doing a selfie, which means she's got a double chin and she's not probably looking her best. So, you know, offer to take the photo, and that's a really, really good way to ensure that it gets shared. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And your example for this one is?
So my example for this one is Juicy. Juicy do an amazing job of encouraging user-generated content. So they have a promotion that they call Juicy Moments, which is every month in Australia and New Zealand, they pick one person who has tagged them and shared their post with the Juicy Moments hashtag, and they refund the cost of their camper van hire or their car hire. So
Wow.
this is a really big one. You don't have to make it this big, but this is just an example of one that's been really, really effective for them. So if you look at the Juicy Moments hashtag on Instagram, you'll see there's over 5,000 posts. So that's over 5,000 pieces of user-generated content that have been tagged with this, tagged with Juicy, that are out there for everyone to see, which is absolutely incredible. They also have a way that you can submit your videos if you're not on social media, and then they can use that content as well. So they have like a video submission platform.
Wow.
And it creates a lot of hype around it, and it encourages people to get really creative with their videos, which means they get some really cool, awesome, original, authentic content from people, some amazing reels, and also some amazing stories that go with those. People have had their first holidays with their kids, people that have been on their honeymoons, people who have been to a new country. And it just gives them so much content to share, and so many of those little customer generated reviews and endorsements that seem so much more authentic than you sounding your own horn, essentially.
And that's really it, right? The user generated content that's authentic. And think about ourselves, right? If we're looking for something, lots of times you can choose management photos or guest photos, for example, on Google Business Platform. I always forget the new name. You really want to look at the UGC because you feel like you're getting that authentic picture that gives you more confidence. So UGC gives confidence to book. Yeah?
Because it's real.
Because it's real.
It's not something that someone's been paid to make.
Yeah.
And influencers were really big for a while, and they're still big in some areas, but people are far more suspicious of influencers than they used to be. So the more genuine your content is, the better.
Yeah. Great point. Great point. Thank you, Jamie. And our next subject is something that's trending.
Yes, so something that's trending at the moment and has been building momentum for really the last 12 to 6 months is brand authenticity. Consumers now are demanding transparency, authenticity, and proof of your brand values. And this is playing a much, much more important role in their choices and where they choose to spend their money than it ever has before. And so the way that brands acknowledge societal and environmental issues and give back to our communities are a huge selling point. greenwashing, fake news, and unethical practices come out so quickly because there are so many avenues for people to get more information about your business.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can think of quite a few tourism brands who are really, really committed to environmental cause and sustainability, and they walk it and they talk it, and it's great. And then you can think of others that do it to tick the box because they need to tick the
Yeah.
box, right?
And it is
Um,
quite obvious, especially to digital natives, when they're doing that.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
So,
June is Pride Month, so everybody will put out something rainbow, and then come
mhm.
July, nothing happens until the following June. And so those are kind of examples, right, that you're talking about,
Yeah,
that if something is near and dear to your brand and who you are, talk about it, but don't try to be something you're not.
that is exactly it. Don't try and be something you're not is absolutely key. And I have some examples here of ways that we can do this.
Right.
So this trend is a little trickier to navigate than some of the other things that we've talked about. So it really comes down to being authentic. Identify, live, and talk about your brand values. If your local community is really important to you and you source everything that you use locally, talk about that. That's amazing. If you don't try and fudge it because people will find out.
Mm.
Share behind the scenes content. And sometimes, as businesses, especially if we feel like we have to have a really polished approach, this is a scary thing for people to do. I understand it, I really do. Um, but showing content about how your business runs, how you take care of your team, your sustainability, or your community projects really resonates with people. And if that's something that they care about as well, they're far more likely to book with you than with a brand that doesn't do that.
Mm.
So for me personally, that's environmental causes. I'm far more likely to book with someone if I can see, oh, they have a recycling project, or they have an on-site garden, or they give all
Have
of their coffee
pigs that
grounds back to a community garden,
Yeah, or they have pigs to eat all their waste from the
or they
office,
have pigs.
like we
Yeah.
do.
So that stuff matters to me, and I'm far more likely to book with someone if they have that available for me to see on their social media.
Nice.
And
Nice.
the other thing is to create authentic, original content that is relevant to your tourism business. It can be really tempting to try and jump on random trends with the trending audios that we're told we should use, or funny comedic content. But nothing is less cool than trying to be cool. It's just not. And it's far better and far more relatable to post content that's in your voice, that is relevant to your business and true to your business, than to post entertaining content or to try and jump on a trend, risk missing the mark, and come across as really cringy.
Yeah.
Um,
Because the
that's
haters
never
will
gonna
come
fly.
out, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'd always encourage you to post stuff that feels right for you to post. Post things that are relevant to your business, because if people feel like they can relate to your values and they know who you are, they're more likely to book with you than if you've posted something that they found really funny and they might have sent it to their friend, but it doesn't tell them anything about you.
Really good last point.
So I've got a couple of examples here of places that are doing this really, really well. Hopefully these ones are going to load a little bit better than the last couple. So the first one is the Hilton. So the Hilton posted this video, I'll play it in a second, featuring Ismail, who is a refugee in Germany that they've been supporting alongside 2,700 other refugees that they support through their Hilton brand there. And they shared it along with a message of inclusivity and peace and acceptance that would have resonated with a lot of people and really placed a personal touch to such a well-known brand.
Did this have, this one doesn't have captions, so that's a bummer. Otherwise, we'd know what they were saying.
Exactly. So now we know why captions are important. So we'll send the link for that one out because it's very touching. It leads on to a few other videos that they've got, so people will go and look for other content relating to that same story.
Nice.
But it's not something that is pushing a product. It's not something that's pushing a sale. It's saying this is a human being who's part of our team, and this is why we value them and why that story is important.
Nice.
And then this one, which I believe probably also doesn't have captions. Oh, it has them at the top. Brilliant.
Incredible. That's really interesting and makes you feel good, right? At the same time.
Right. Because we all know that places like this, they create a lot of waste. They create a lot of rubbish. They have a huge amount of people going through. And so sharing something that says, we've thought about this. We know it's a problem. This is how we're reusing it. We're doing it ourselves. We're reusing it in our own parts is a really fantastic way of showing that actually they do care about more than just taking your money.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
that's really important.
Nice. That's awesome. So 45 minutes of us talking pretty nonstop here. We got to answer a couple questions in between, and we're going to get to some more. But let's wrap up everything that we've learned from you today, Jamie. So something new is using AI for content generation, for creating content calendars, for content strategies. What did you want to add? Anything else you wanted to add to that?
I think the main thing with that is use it as a tool. Don't use it as a replacement for a person.
Beautiful.
It doesn't think like a person. It thinks like an AI.
Exactly. Something reliable. You definitely convinced all of us why community management is so important. Something underrated, those video captions. And we just had a real live example of why you need them so that you can understand them and learning how it really helps with SEO and the richness of your online expanse. That's the wrong word. How often
Keyword
it's going to be able to
diversity.
help. Thank you. Lost it. It's wine o'clock here in the United States, so my brain's going to another way. DIY, getting that user generated content going. And the thing that's trending is that brand authenticity for your values. Yeah?
Absolutely. So important.
Good. Now, we've got a few minutes left. Let's see if we can answer a couple of the pre-questions. So thank you to everybody who wrote prior today to send in some questions. We can't get through all of these, and the other ones that have been added to today, they're all going to be included in the wrap-up along with this recording. So, Jamie, there's, I don't know how many, like 10 or 12.
We've got a few pages. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll try and get through a couple.
Grab a couple of them for you to answer. Go for it.
Okay. So I'm just going to start at the top here. Do you have the demographics of who uses which platform? Our guests are mostly 40 plus, and I think are on Facebook. Instagram confuses me, but I do check the box on Facebook posts to put it on Insta. Am I targeting the right platform? This is a really, really great question because there's no point in talking into a void if you're on the wrong place to reach your audience. Facebook, we do see the largest demographic is between 25 and 35, but they do have a higher percentage of that 40 plus audience than Instagram and most certainly than TikTok. So if that's the audience you're targeting, I think you're in the right place. I would still put things on Instagram because while your guests may be mostly 40 plus, they're still going to take recommendations from their kids, their friends, their nieces and nephews. So if it's organic social media and it's not costing you anything to put it there, I would still put it on both. Absolutely.
Did you want to make a comment on putting the same I'm adding a question to already so many.
Fine.
Putting the same content on both platforms. Because we get that question all the time. What's your answer to that?
Personally, what I would recommend as best practice and what we do for our clients is, firstly, I generally tweak posts between platforms to make them more relevant for the place that they're going to be seen, whether that's changing the proportions of the image, changing the content slightly, changing the caption slightly, but also I would spread them out. So if you've got a very limited amount of time to spend on your social content and you are going to have to cross post, I would post it, say, on Facebook today, and then I would wait 2 weeks and then post it on Instagram. If it's not time sensitive and it's not seasonal, you could wait a month and post it on Instagram, because then people think they're getting different content on both and they're more likely to follow you across both platforms.
That's a great piece of advice. Great. All right, let's see if we can cram in one more or two more, Jamie.
I think a really important one and a really fantastic question is best days and times to post on social media across all platforms. So I'm just going to focus on the first part of that question because there's another one about TikTok at the end. This is less important than it used to be. When we had chronological social media feeds and we saw posts in the order at which they were published, this was really, really important. But that's not how it works anymore. So the algorithms now work by taking the engagement that your post gets and then showing it to other people who might be interested in that. And the more engagement your post gets, the more likely it is to be shared on explore pages and suggested to people. It is still important to post when your audience is online, but keep in mind that your audience may be across multiple time zones. So I have clients where they're based in New Zealand, but I'm posting for a California time zone or an Australian time zone because that's where their audience is. And the other thing to remember is that while it's really easy to look at your audience numbers and go, most of my audiences are online at 9 a.m., I'm going to post at 9 a.m., so is everybody else. So you might actually be better off posting at 8:30 a.m. when there's slightly less people but less competition than posting at 9 a.m. when every other business is trying to do the same thing, because then there's just so much content coming in that the chance of you getting that engagement early on that you need is actually probably going to be lower than if you posted it a slightly off-peak time.
That is such great advice, because I remember there was advice and an article came out that everybody jumped on, that 9 a.m. on Sunday for New Zealanders, because all the New Zealanders are in bed looking at Instagram and Facebook. And then everybody was posting at that. And so you saw it adapt. So I love that you say, maybe try a little bit earlier or later so you don't have the competition.
And it depends on what you're trying to achieve with your post as well. So if you are trying to get people into your cafe or your restaurant on a Sunday morning, post it on a Friday afternoon when people are knocking off work and making their plans for the next day. If you're trying to get people to book a holiday, maybe post it on a Monday when they've just seen their friends' photos from over the weekend and they realize that actually they really want to go on a holiday as well. It's Monday, they're maybe feeling a little bit down. That's a good time to get them and go, what would make you feel better? A trip to Rarotonga.
Yeah, nice. Hey, and I'm going to butt in and answer the second part of that question, which says TikTok for tourism, yes or no, and how to use it for dummies over the age of 15. I think that's so funny, because if we have somebody on this webinar that's under 15, I'd be surprised. TikTok for tourism, yes, and we actually have an ebook. So Tomahawk has an ebook about TikTok for tourism. So we can include that in our wrap-up. If you don't want to wait for our wrap-up, you can go to tomahawk.co.nz, click resources, and you can just click ebooks. And there's all sorts of guides that we give away for free. And there's a really good one that the team put together for TikTok for tourism. I got to answer one.
You did.
Did you want to check out the next page of questions, see if we can get another one in?
Yeah. How much time have we got? Oh, we've got a little bit of time.
Okay,
what have we got? Are reels necessary or are images enough? Reels are necessary. I hate to tell you. I know it can be very intimidating and they can be more time consuming, But video content is king these days. It gets more engagement, it receives more likes, it receives more comments and more saves. So if you can, absolutely 1000% recommend doing reels across Instagram and Facebook if you're using those platforms. And don't overthink it. It can once again come back to that, I want to look polished, I want to have everything to be perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. Sometimes perfection is the enemy of getting everything done. And it comes back to authenticity as well. Sometimes all you need is a beautiful 10-second video of your view from one of your bedrooms, or a video of people screaming and having the time of their lives on your jet boat. Yeah, time lapse, amazing. Get that sunset, so good.
Yeah.
Just put some music over it. You can do that in platform. You can have a little caption over the top that says, waking up on a Monday, like ... or waking up here, or family bonding, just anything that's relevant to it, really. And put it out there, and that's all you need. It doesn't have to be really complicated.
Beautiful.
It has to be something that puts people in the moment at wherever you are, makes them feel like they're part of it.
Nice. Number 6, social media marketing plan recommendation at various stages of the product and audience lifestyle. This is such a great question, because when we create social media strategies for customers, we're always talking about this, right? So often people are like, I just want to get more bookings. And it's like, yes, but that is the 3rd stage of travel. There are 5 stages of travel. So if you haven't heard, there's 5 stages of travel. Dream. We all dream about what we want to do. Plan and research. Then we book. Then we experience, and then we share. So the first 3 are, really important. You can't walk up to somebody on the sidewalk and say, marry me, right? You have to kind of be attracted to them, and then you have to do that research and go on a date or 2. So, Jamie, talk to us when we are doing dream stages and research and the booking. What would be different examples of what you would do in those different stages? So if somebody's in the dream stage, what kind of posts would you suggest? If somebody's in the research, can you talk to that? We have a couple more minutes, and then we've got to...
I will try and be quick.
Yeah.
So dream stage, this is when you're introducing people to your business. This is your hello. This is getting them to be interested in you. So at the dream stage, this is when you post those videos of your beautiful landscape. It's where you post pictures of your beautiful rooms or your food, things that get people to go, oh, actually, I want that. I want to go to that place. I want to have that experience. And then you move through and you look at your research stage. And this is a really good time to post things like frequently asked questions.
Perfect.
If you've got it on your website, or it's a question you receive a lot, that's something you can post on social media. That can be a reel with a little overlay saying, ever wondered what there is to do in Topor? Show them.
Yeah.
So that's a good place to put out little bits of information that are savable and shareable, and really give people confidence that they know about the experience that they're going to be booking. And then when you get through to your booking stage, that's your call to actions. That's when you say, book with us today, give us a call, come and experience this. We've got a promo on at the moment. That's where you get a little bit more salesy. And we really recommend having about 80% dreaming, educational, entertainment content and 20% actual sales.
Okay. Can you just say that one more time, please?
Absolutely. So you want to have 80% of your content should be your inspiring content, your educational content, and your entertaining content that add value. So that's the things that add value to your audience. And then the other 20% can be your selling content, which is what adds value to you.
Yes.
Because it's not about us. It's not about our brand. It's about what our brand can give to our audience.
Beautiful. Perfect. Beautiful. And we are going to answer all the other questions that we got prior. and the ones that have come in today. And super excited. 2 people have already just downloaded our TikTok guide since we talked about it. So thank you to those that just did that. I hope you enjoy it. And so let's talk about the next little slide to remind everybody that all of the people that have attended today's webinar. So those people that signed up but didn't watch today, sorry, if you're watching the recording, you don't get to be in the lucky draw. So we know which people have attended today. And so Jamie and the team are going to be picking one of the viewers today to get a free 1-hour consult with Jamie to help out with your social media. So that's the good thing about attending our different tourism tech talks. Hopefully it means that you've learned something. Hopefully it means that you've taken away with something that you can do differently. The next Tourism Tech Talk is going to be about Google strategies. So that's going to be SEO, Google Ads, YouTube, anything having to do with Google. We then have Pallavi, who's our lead creative designer, who's going to be talking about design and storytelling. And then we're going to wrap up for those who want to geek out with technology and tourism in October. Jamie, let's go to that last slide that says thank you to everyone. And that includes you, Jamie, for sharing all of your knowledge. Thank you, everybody who joined us today. We really appreciate it. We know how busy you all are. We hope you've had a great season today. Thank you for all of the comments coming in, everybody. Make sure that you look at your inbox for the recording and the answers to all of your questions and who the lucky winner is. Cheers. Thanks, everybody. Kia ora.
Thank you.